Hello, a very good evening to you. Welcome to ITV News. This is Friday night's calendar.
Hello, thank you for joining us. Here are tonight's main stories.
A major emergency operation is launched in Keighley after reports of a building collapse in the town centre.
Failed by the very system he served, the widow of a former Yorkshire soldier who took his own life says our veterans must get more support.
I've climbed the 199 steps to the ruins of Whitby Abbey to see a spectacularly spooky Halloween-themed light show.
And the clocks go back an hour in the early hours of Sunday morning. As well as that, some decent weather to get out and about. I'll have all the details later on in the programme.
Hello, thank you very much for joining us on Calendar. First tonight, the widow of an army veteran from Castleford who took his own life says she still believes he'd still be alive today if he'd received the right support.
Wendy Hutchinson's husband Tony had served for 22 years in the British Army. He left in 1992 concerned he couldn't face another tour and later was diagnosed with post-traumatic stress disorder. But
Wendy says despite repeatedly asking for help, Tony died in 2015, 24 hours after being discharged from hospital.
Well, today the Royal British Legion launched its Poppy campaign in Yorkshire, and this year it's focusing on mental health. Wendy says she feels she can't put Tony to rest until she helps others like him. She's been speaking to our reporter, Amelia Beckett.
Very caring. I don't think he fell out with anybody. Everybody liked him. There's always good stories about him.
Wendy Hutchinson says her husband Tony was always laughing. But behind the smile, 22 years serving in the British Army, including 9 tours of Northern Ireland, took its toll.
He's seen people die, people he knew well. He did say one thing what got to him when he was on a helicopter and a young soldier, he said he was only about 18, 19, and he'd been shot in the head. And he was holding him in, but he could see he was still breathing, and they got in the ground and he was told to leave him, he's dying, and he wouldn't leave him, but he said, no, he's still breathing. And they just made him.
When Tony left the army in 1992, his mental health quickly declined. He was diagnosed with PTSD and started having suicidal thoughts. But after a number of visits to A&E, he was not referred to a community mental health team. The day before he killed himself, Wendy says she repeatedly tried to get a crisis team to their home, but no one came. He passed away on the 4th of December 2015, aged 59.
The morning we were called in to me and they said he's brain dead. And I said, are you sure? Yes, we've done all the tests. And I thought, let him go. He's suffered enough. So I said, yes, switch it off. And then we all sat round his bed, laughing, joking.
Yeah, she said to go and get help.
Former Corporal Barry Seymour was diagnosed with PTSD after serving in Northern Ireland and Iraq. He received support through the Royal British Legion and is now urging anyone who may be struggling to reach out for help.
Support is there. All they got to do is phone for help. And there's a lot of people who don't ask for help that should do. I didn't, and it was my wife. You shouldn't just crack on, get on with it. You need to crack on and pick up the phone to people who can support you.
And that is the message for this year's Poppy Appeal, launched today at Leeds Civic Hall.
We have fantastic kit to protect us physically, such as body armour, helmets, that type of thing, but we have nothing to protect the mind. So the Legion this year is concentrating on that side of it to try and help those people who really need the help.
Wendy wanted to reference PTSD.
9 years after Tony's death, through tireless work by solicitor Lindsay, Wendy received an out-of-court payout from the trust responsible for his care. The South West Yorkshire Partnership Trust told us, following Tony's death, we carried out a thorough investigation and acted upon any learning opportunities identified. This includes us becoming veteran aware and improving the support we offer to veterans within our services. But Wendy has never received an apology, and now her focus is improving PTSD awareness for veterans like Tony. Amelia Beckett, ITV News, Wakefield.
Yes, terribly sad story. Well, a little earlier I spoke to Chloe Mackay from veterans' mental health charity Combat Stress, and I asked her about the scale of the issue for veterans across the Callander region.
I think one of the main reasons that we understand there's more veterans with mental health needs is the impact of the wars in Afghanistan and Iraq. It takes quite a long time for people to understand and reach out for help when they have mental health issues. So we're really still supporting those veterans who served in Afghanistan and Iraq.
And of course, being involved in the military is such a unique thing, isn't it? It's a family in itself, I suppose, and then to suddenly not be part of that family anymore and be out on your own can be very, very difficult for people.
Transition from military service into civilian life is very hard. You don't have the job that you had before, you're not with the friends that you were with before, and don't have the house that you had before. So it's a very big change for people when they leave the armed forces, and one that takes time and an effort to make the adjustment to civilian life.
And we know that many veterans say that they signed up to serve their country, but they feel like the country's turned its back on them now.
I think that the support is there. So charities like ours, Combat Stress, we are there to support veterans, and I guess we want more veterans to know about our support, to know that our support works, so that we can successfully treat veterans who are experiencing post-traumatic stress disorder. And we really want veterans to know about the support that is there.
And there is support there, but of course it's difficult for you to provide that support when you're under so much pressure.
We are under pressure, so the number of veterans reaching our service has increased by 44% over the last 3 years, so we're getting increasingly busy and our services are stretched. So we really do need more resources to be able to deliver support to meet the demand and the need that is out there.
Well, you do a great job. Chloe Mackay, thank you very much for joining us from Combat Stress. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
You're watching Friday's Calendar with Ian White and Lisa Adlam. Thank you for joining us, and do stay with us because later on we'll be live at the wonderful Whitby Abbey, where they're putting on an incredible light show to get us in the mood for Halloween.
And also coming up, holding back the years. Find out how 69-year-old cancer survivor Denton here is vying to go shoulder to shoulder with some of the strongest men on the planet. More of the day's news first, though, and part of the centre of Keighley in West Yorkshire has been sealed off today after a building collapsed. For a few frantic hours, search dogs scoured the Burlington Mills building for signs of anyone trapped, but no one was hurt, fortunately. The building has been made safe and investigations will continue into the weekend into how it happened.
Police are searching for a vehicle they believe was involved in a suspected hit and run which killed a man in Sheffield last night.
It happened on Ridgeway Road, forcing the closure of a busy dual carriageway and suspending tram services.
Officers returned to the scene this morning as they try to establish exactly what happened. Michael Billington sent this report.
Well, really shocking scenes here yesterday evening, but today there is no trace of what unfolded here just after 8:30 last night. When police arrived, they found a man in his 40s who it's believed had been involved in a collision. Now, it's thought that he was hit around where the arrow is on the ground there, and the impact carried him about 50 metres along the road to where the pedestrian crossing is, which is where he was left in the carriageway. Now, despite treatment from medics here, he unfortunately died at the scene. Now, a whole area around this junction between Gleadless Road and Ridgeway Road, which was one of the main arterial routes into Sheffield, was taped off. The Supertram was also suspended, but by the time businesses opened this morning, the road was back to normal again. Now, police are looking for a dark-coloured Vauxhall, which they believe may have been involved. They're also asking anybody who may have seen what happened or who has now noticed a newly damaged car in their area to get in touch. Michael Billington, ITV News in Sheffield.
3 men have appeared in court accused of making a gun from a 3D printer to target the Islamic Education Centre in Leeds. Brogan Stewart, who's 24 and from Wakefield, is one of 3 charged with preparing or assisting another to commit acts of terrorism. It's alleged the men made a semi-automatic gun and brought weapons including swords, axes and bows and arrows. A trial at Sheffield Crown Court is due to begin in March.
6 more men have been arrested after a man was beaten and stabbed to death in Bradford. 23-year-old Lukman Ishfaq died in hospital following the attack on Barlow Street on Monday night. 7 men in total, aged between 22 and 44, have now been arrested on suspicion of murder, including a 28-year-old who's since been bailed. Another man was arrested on suspicion of violent disorder.
An investigation's been launched into why water in the River Calder has turned bright orange. The water, which residents reported looking like a stream of tomato soup, is thought to be due to old mines. The Environment Agency is investigating but says it doesn't expect any significant or long-term water quality issues.
Quite incredible
Yes,
pictures
isn't
there,
it?
certainly. Now, Lisa, while I've got you here, I must ask you, has that lovely husband of yours, has he treated you to a slap-up meal recently?
Well, funny enough that you should ask, because actually I took him out for a meal last weekend.
Right,
It was his
okay.
birthday. So,
Sounds about
yes.
right, actually,
Yeah.
doesn't it? Now, when you got the bill, was there a service charge at the bottom?
I don't think there was, but we did leave a tip.
Oh,
Do
right,
like
okay.
to,
Interesting that.
you know,
Yeah, interesting.
give a reward back for good service, which it was. And many hospitality businesses in our region do add the discretionary charge, which is aimed at guiding customers who do want to leave a tip.
Yes, with new tipping legislation now requiring 100% of gratuities to be passed to staff, it's reignited the debate around service charges. Chris Conway can tell us more.
To pay the service charge or not to pay the service charge? That is the question put to these people in Doncaster.
Usually I do, yeah.
Why?
If I'm happy with the service. Just a bit of extra money for them, isn't it?
I don't like giving the tip when it's service charge because it goes to the company rather than the staff.
Well, it depends. If someone's nice and courteous and does the job, then they get a tip. If they're not, well then they don't deserve it.
It's a debate that has become more public recently with the introduction of the Government Tipping Act. It means hospitality staff now keep 100% of their tips. However, research shows nearly a fifth of UK consumers would still prefer no service charge added automatically to their bill, with nearly half of people still preferring to tip at their own discretion. Anya works in hospitality and says the new tipping legislation is a boost to staff.
It makes a massive difference to your wage. At the end of the month, it gets split between all the staff and it's a pretty big bump in your pay.
Business owner Andy Hook has always included a service charge at his restaurant, with staff taking 100% of the tips for years.
We always explain that this is a discretionary service charge and that it's up to them if they want to pay it. If you put a £10 tip onto a table as a customer, then your expectation is that all of that is going to go to the staff, and that's right.
Customers are not legally required to pay a service charge, but many say they feel awkward asking for it to be removed. But one trade body disputes that a standardised system across the industry would work better.
Obviously we're seeing more of that with the service charge being added on, and just in many respects it's actually quite helpful for customers, but I think it's right that it should be left for customers to decide.
While service charges are becoming more common, the Government's Tipping Act has now added a new dimension to the ongoing debate: to tip or not to tip. Chris Conway, ITV News.
Well, and speaking as someone who did work as a waitress when I was younger, it's always nice to get a tip.
Not in a cocktail bar.
Not in a cocktail bar, no. Now, the ITV Evening News is coming up shortly. Let's have a look at what's happening with Lucrezia Millarini.
Coming up, life in jail for an online predator who it's thought abused thousands of children. 26-year-old Alexander McCartney would pose as young girls, targeting children in what is believed to be the largest catfishing case in the UK. Also, are millions of people paying higher prices at the shops because they are excluded from loyalty schemes. And Nicole Scherzinger's emotional tribute to Liam Payne, as it's revealed the pair had messaged each other on the day he died. Join me for those stories and more at 6:30.
Thanks, Lucrezia. Well, you know, I think we should have some sport now. It is Friday after all, and Arif is with us in the studio. And Arif, good evening to you.
Evening.
A rugby league legend has his first job as head coach.
Yeah, that's right, Ian, as the Castleford Tigers have today named this man, Danny Maguire, as their new head coach. The 41-year-old had an illustrious playing career for the Leeds Rhinos, winning 16 major trophies during his time at Headingley. He spent last season as an assistant coach at Wealdon Road, and he replaces Craig Lingard, who was sacked on Monday.
And now, Arif, an emotional night in Greece as George Baldock's team remembered his former team, Panathinaikos, remembered him.
Yeah, it must have been a really difficult night for everyone involved in Panathinaikos in Greece last night, as they paid their tribute to the defender in what was their first game since his death. Well, meanwhile, the Sheffield Steelers ice hockey team will also pay tribute to Adam Johnson this weekend to mark 1 year since his death. Before their game with Cardiff tomorrow night, there will be 47-second applause. The number 47 is a shirt number he used to wear for the Nottingham Panthers. Adam suffered a fatal neck injury during a collision with the Sheffield Steelers player during a game. A man who was arrested on suspicion of manslaughter has had his bail extended by police. Now, I've got a question for the both of you. Remember, the clocks go back this weekend, but let's move forward. Let's say 35, 40 years, and you've just turned 69. Hard to believe, I know.
You are kind, Arif, you are kind.
What's he after? He's a crawler, isn't he?
So you've just turned 69. What do you hope to be doing? What would you like to be? Taking it easy?
Yeah, taking it easy, on a beach somewhere, somewhere warm, by the sea, yeah.
Sounds good.
Tell you what, I certainly won't be sat here, I'll tell you that.
Let's hope. Yeah, let's hope we're all not here at 69. As you say, we'd like to be relaxing somewhere, wouldn't we? Well, one man that isn't taking things easy is 69-year-old Denton Wilson from Sheffield. He's hoping to be crowned the world champion in bodybuilding. He's been invited to the event next month in Boston, but can't afford the cost to go. Having overcome cancer himself, Denton hopes, along with winning, obviously, he can show others going through cancer that anything is possible. When it comes to lifting heavy weights, age is no barrier for Denton Wilson. 69-year-old is Britain's #1 bodybuilder in his age category, and this Sheffield strongman has no plans of slowing down.
When I work out, I feel so enlightened, so strong, so powerful. You know, I feel so much energy. You hear the saying, if you don't use it, you lose it. I'm about wanting to keep moving forward with my life.
Do people actually believe him when he tells them he's 69?
Nobody believes when I say, look, it's my partner, has 69. So everybody's thinking, wow, you know, because he's looking so well, so good. So yeah, I'm really proud that I can call him friend.
Next month, Denton has the chance to compete internationally after being invited to the World Championships in Boston. The £2,500 cost, though, is one weight he's struggling to lift.
I'm a pensioner, right? I've not got much money. When I won Britain and then had the opportunity to go for the world to Boston, I'm thinking, wow, how am I going to do this? I've not got the money. And all I'm wanting really is the opportunity to go out there in the world and promote that I can be #1 in the world again, right? I'm 69 years young and I know I can achieve it.
Denton turned to bodybuilding in his early 40s after being diagnosed with terminal prostate cancer. But he beat the disease and now lives a healthy life through a clean diet and regular workouts.
Because of my religious belief that God is always there for me, yeah? I just ask him for guidance. And sure enough, the guidance came with a word to say, what have I given you? I've given you all the plants, all the herbs, all these natural things. Take those and you'll be all right.
What would it mean to you then to be able to go to Boston and compete in these championships after everything you've been through?
At the age of 69, going for the world, how many people can say that? I want to inspire. When you've got the ambition to do all the right things, you can achieve greatness.
Yeah, good luck to Den. I really hope he gets a chance to go.
It'll be fantastic. What an inspiration.
I know,
Puts
use
us all
them.
to shame.
What was he said? Use them or lose them? Look
Use
at
them or
those.
lose them. Okay, crush a grape.
Thank you. Yeah, thanks a lot.
Now then, finally last night, we brought you some stunning sights as Leeds lit up for its first special evening of illuminations. And tonight, it's the turn of a rather spookier location, celebrating the Gothic history of a Yorkshire landmark.
Yes, it wouldn't be Halloween without a vampire or two, and we're better to get the chills running up your spine than Dracula's famous haunt of Whitby, where a spooktacular display is going on right now. And, well, this isn't too scary, is it? Here's Fraser Ward, who's there for us. And Fraser, how's it looking?
Yeah, it's scarier now that I'm on your screen, isn't it? That's a shocker. So 199 steps, whale bones, fish and chips. Whitby famous for so many things, but of course, perhaps most famous for Dracula. This is where his ship was wrecked and he first came to land, according to Bram Stoker. And here at Whitby Abbey was the place that inspired that whole story. Mark from English Heritage, you can tell us about the link between Dracula and the Abbey and why you've done this this week.
Absolutely. Well, welcome here to Illuminated Abbey. Of course, people coming here to be inspired by the myths and legends that have come upon this headland for 1,000 years. Stoker, of course, comes here in the 1190s, sees the sunken ship that becomes the Demeter in the story of Dracula as he runs aboard from this ship. The 199 steps, as you mentioned, the black dog that Dracula's transformed himself into.
Well, you're scaring me already.
Yeah, and then, of course, where we are, even scarier, the abbey that looms over the town that provided that Gothic backdrop that drew Victorians over the moors to come here 125 years ago, and is going to draw hopefully hundreds of people here tonight as well.
It looks spectacular, and it's a perfect night for it. With this mist coming in off the sea, you could almost imagine that Dracula's just about to land himself.
Absolutely, we've put added atmosphere on tonight, so we're hoping this remains for the remainder 9 nights up until the 2nd of November.
Fantastic. Kathy, you're with the Time Will Tell Theatre Company, bringing a bit of Victorian Gothic splendour to the occasion. What is it that you're putting on? What's the performances?
Well, we've been here many years running, so the show changes every year, and we like to draw on some of those Gothic stories. So you've got a bit of Frankenstein here, obviously some Dracula, and all of those Gothic myths and legends that are suitable for such wonderful ruins as this.
I mean, that's it. You've got the perfect setting for it here, haven't you? Mean and moody and atmospheric, and especially with the sea fog coming in as well. It couldn't be better, could it?
It's the perfect location. What a brilliant stage we've got, especially with all these lights, and the way that English Heritage have kept the place with the lights lit up like this. You can see it right over the town. It's just beautiful, and it gives us so much enthusiasm to come here, and hundreds of people come every year to see it, and we really enjoy it.
Fantastic. So people can pre-book to come and see this. It is a great thing to come and see, to have a wander around. It's fantastic. I'm going to get myself a couple of cloves of garlic, I think, before I venture into the mist to have a look. But if you want to come down, you can pre-book and save a little bit of money. You can come down and pay on the door, as it were, and it's on until next Saturday, which coincides with Goth Weekend as well. So it's going to be an absolutely Gothic spectacular here at Whitby Abbey throughout the rest of the week.
Absolutely terrifying. Thank you very much indeed. Fraser Ward live in Whitby there for us.
Well, spooky looking there in that mist. I wonder if it's going to keep that misty autumnal feeling going on for the rest of the weekend. Let's find out with Joe Blythe.
Good visibility on the horizon. TUI sponsors ITV Yorkshire Weather.
Hello, a very good evening to you. There will be some rain around over the next couple of days, but in general, the bulk of that will be moving across our region by night. So Saturday and Sunday give plenty of dry weather for many areas with some sunshine to look forward to. And temperature-wise, it's still mild for the time of year. As we can see, low pressure certainly around for the time being. It's going to push a little bit of showery rain around through this evening and overnight. And again, tomorrow night, another front will move through. But either side of that, plenty of usable weather to get out and about both Saturday and Sunday. Back to this evening, and you can see that showery rain moving northwards quite quickly over the next few hours. That serves to clear things up a bit. We won't see the fog patches which really lingered today that we saw last night. It'll be clearer in general. And temperature-wise, perhaps rural parts of North Yorkshire will dip to around 5 or 6 degrees. But for many areas, another fairly mild night to come. Winds are very light, and in general, they're from a southerly direction. A dry end to the night, and Saturday will start with the sun rising at 7:56, setting at 5:44 tomorrow evening. On to tomorrow's details. Of course, it is going to be a little bit chilly in 1 or 2 rural areas to start with. Other than that, bright, dry, plenty of sunshine. And North and West Yorkshire will hold on to that fine weather through the afternoon, but you can see an increase of cloud, certainly south of the Humber, with bits and pieces of patchy rain and drizzle further south to end the afternoon. And for all of us, a band of rain will move through tomorrow night. Temperature-wise, it's another mild day. And once the rain clears through Sunday morning, it should be fine with plenty of sunshine.
TUI sponsors ITV Yorkshire Weather.
Thank you very much, Joe. Looks like a perfect weekend for some pumpkin picking.
That's a good idea,
Halloween,
actually.
do you think?
Yeah, is that what you're going to be doing?
I might well do that. Down the local supermarket.
I might. Right. Good idea. Yeah, that's it. Thanks for being with us this week. It's been a great week. We look forward to seeing you again on Monday. Have a good night.
Bye-bye.